How's it going, everyone? My name is DrapPep. Welcome back to another installment on this series. When I was a kid, I used to draw a lot. I used to make my own comic books as a child. That was one of my most favorite hobbies growing up, was coming up with all these different characters and storylines. I once made a comic book about dinosaurs that traveled through time and were in the city, and they were like eating people. And so the army had to like fight these dinosaurs to get rid of them because they were just on an eating rampage. And even like the herbivores were even eating people. And it got to the extent where like eventually angels and demons were brought into it, and the demons were sick and tired of waiting for the apocalypse to start, so they time traveled dinosaurs into the city to jumpstart the apocalypse, and it forced the angels to intervene. So then demons and angels were, brought into the storyline. uh and then I got into playing Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega Genesis with my sister, and it was a blast. I loved it. My sister was the best at it. My sister and I were about 10 years different. All right. I was born in the 90s. She was born in the 80s. She had a little head start on playing Sonic the Hedgehog than I did. But I loved Sonic. I thought that was the coolest character. So I started making comic books about Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, once I started going to school, I started showing off my comic books during show and tell. Everyone was showing off toys. I was showing off my comic books because I was just so involved with what I was making. And then I would, talk about some of the story arcs I was working on. I was working on a comic book about space battles and how there were like these three factions that were at war with each other. I was making one about my favorite monster hunter, Van Helsing, and it was like a full life journey of Van Helsing hunting down every monster you can think of. Uh, there was one instant, and I always find this to be funny, but I had a comic where I thought Sonic's speed was from his shoes. And as a kid, of course you would, you put shoes on and you'd be like, look how fast I can run, and then you'd run in your new shoes to show like these particular shoes made you run faster. You believed that. So in my comic, Sonic has these shoes, and then it makes him like his feet hurt. And so uh I I remember, I'm cringing right now and I'm trying to fight through it. I remember there was this moment when I made Tails kiss Sonic's feet because as a kid, I I would thought that, you kiss the boo boo to make it better, right? So Tails was kissing Sonic's feet, and my mom saw that what I was drawing, and I was putting it in the comic, and she's like, "Oh no, don't draw that. Draw something else." And I was like, "Oh, maybe it's because Tails isn't doing it right. He needs to get more into it." So I just redrew it again, and I made it look like Tails was licking his feet, which was a million times worse in hindsight, a million times worse. So I go into show and tell, and I'm reading the story because when I read the story, the teacher would put everyone in a circle so they could see it better, and it was like story time. And she liked that. She was encouraging me to try to draw more, and she really liked that I loved telling stories. Until I get to the part where it was like, and then Sonic took his shoes off, and Tails kissed it and made it look better, and it looked like Tails was licking his feet. And the teacher's like, "All right, we're done with story time," and just grabs the comic from me, calls my parents in. It's like, "Do you know whether you drew this?" I'm like, "Oh, I thought he drew something else." "No, he drew this." I didn't know any better. It wasn't, it's not that cursed. All right, I was too innocent to know what I was drawing was not appropriate. I was just trying to make it like Tails was kissing his boo boo, was kissing his feet to make him feel better. Now, these days, as an adult, yeah, no, not good. No, no, don't draw that. The reason why I bring this up is because I don't draw comic books anymore. I should. I miss that feeling, that thrill of turning a story into a comic book. But one of the reasons why I stopped was because once I reached the next grade, my next teacher was a nightmare. A nightmare. I don't want to say names for obvious reasons, but this particular teacher, for because I was born with autism, so I went to special education, right? And uh, this teacher was a special educational teacher who was yelling at their students. And like, if we were trying to do math, she would take our hands and slam them onto the table, like forcefully, to try to snap us out of, I guess, disassociation. I don't know. And one particular time, she caught me drawing one of my comic books. I had finished my homework early, but she didn't know that. She could easily just came up to me and asked, "Hey, are you done?" And I would have told her yes. But instead, she takes me off to the side, sits me down, and says, "It's about time somebody told you this. No one's going to take you seriously because you have autism. So you should stop trying to do anything worthwhile because you will never succeed at anything in life." I was a kid, man. I was just drawing comic books. I was just having fun. I didn't need that kind of treatment. That's what she said to me. And it's stuck with me my entire life. I'm 34 now. I've carried this for easily, what, 20 years? Maybe more? I'm not good at math. But I still carried it. It was devastating. It made me stop making comic books. I stopped. I dabbled in artwork a little bit. I even took art classes later on in high school, and my art teacher was just as bad. I had one particular art teacher that was cool, and they encouraged me to keep doing my artwork because they wanted to see me foster that talent. But one particular art teacher within my sketching class told me that I was talentless and that I should pursue different career options. And I told her that art was just a passion of mine. I just wanted to get back into it. And that one said that I was talentless. So I have two teachers in my life, one telling me that I'm talentless and the other one telling me I would never achieve anything in my life. So when I started making content onto the internet, there was a lot of excitement for me because the idea of anyone would watch my videos would be awesome. But there is also that nagging feeling in the back of my head of those two people who told me I was talentless, I'll never achieve anything in my life. But I've learned to not care. I've learned that in my life that whatever you do, you're mostly doing it for yourself. Any project that you want to do it for yourself. That this is not for someone else. This is just for you, that you want to accomplish something. And take it from me, I've had more than plenty of reasons to give up on this, and I haven't. If anything, every single time somebody in the comments tells me I'm not funny or tells me I'm not entertaining, I keep going. I never let that stop me. There's a few times I almost stopped, but those times only lasted very shortly, and I was right back at it again. In fact, I would say as of right now, I'm probably the most active with making content than I ever have been in my entire internet career. I mean, I've been doing this since 2016. We're now currently in 2026. I have been doing this for 10 years. 10 years. And I kind of want to do something special as like a 10-year anniversary of how long I've been doing this. But my point is, anything you want to accomplish in your life, do it because it's something you wanted to do, not because you're doing it for someone else, not because you're trying to do it to impress anyone else. Do it for the sole purpose that this is something that you wanted to bring into reality, not because of someone else. Like, for example, I want to write a book, and I'm not going to write a book to be the best seller ever. I want to write a book just to bring it into reality. I want to draw my own comic book just to bring it into reality. So it tanks. So nobody buys it. I just want to bring something into reality that it was something I did. And so what if it doesn't succeed? As long as it brings myself satisfaction of knowing I did that is good enough. And trust me, that's a great feeling. Even if it failed, knowing that you did it is just as good. Trust me on that. Never give up on your dreams. Just do it because it was something you wanted to. That's going to be it for this episode. Thank you for listening.